We're going to welcome in cleveland.com and Plain Dealer columnist Doug Lesmerises. Doug, I've been looking forward to this all day long. So Hue Jackson on the Really Big Show on ESPN 850. Let's take a look at a tweet involving some of what Hue Jackson was talking about, and it's on being the fall guy, being blamed for the Browns' loss. Think I became the fall guy because that was the narrative. Doug, I can't wait to hear what you think about this one as far as Hue Jackson goes. Have at it.
So I'm like the Hue guy. I got to come on.
I just want to hear your take on this.
My camera's all fuzzy. I feel like Hue is affected. He's trying to get in between and not let me talk. Listen, we are past this. We, Browns media, Browns fans, the Browns, are past it. They built on what happened with 1-31 to get to here. Hue is trying to drag us back. Drag us back to the past. Don't let it happen. Don't let him do this. Don't let him pull us back to the past, because that's where he's living. And it's the fight that I'm the guy. I am. I don't want to. I'm not here to pile on Hue Jackson. I've said my piece about Hue Jackson. I said it publicly in a news conference with him. He had a victim mentality, and he is continuing it today. He is again presenting it as if what happened with the Browns happened to him, like he wasn't part of it. Of course they were rebuilding and tearing it down. Of course they were. We all knew that. And nobody was expecting them to be a winning team. But he took a bad situation and made it worse. That did not have to be 1-15 and 0-16 back-to-back. Obviously, they were thinking about the future, not the present. But I'm past Hue Jackson victim mentality, and I know he has not said what the name of his new book is going to be, which is the only reason he's doing this stuff, to sell books. I have a book coming out too. Maybe I'll go complain about stuff. Victim mentality, if he's looking for a name, that's my suggestion.
I like it. All right, we got to talk a little bit more about this because, again, this is I've described Johnny Manziel as like a car wreck that I can't stop watching. Hue Jackson might be the fire on the other side of the road that I'm driving by and looking at. So bear with me, and then we'll get through it. So on 0-16, he said, "No one knows I was given a contract extension because the Browns didn't want to publicize it." Here's the deal with, and here's what I would like you to talk about, Doug. There's no way to spin 3-30 whatever he was. You just can't.
I think he thinks he's making a point for himself. He's actually making the exact opposite point, because he did not get fired for 1-31. He just said, I got a contract extension in the middle of 0-16. Why did he get fired? Because once they were supposed to start reaping the benefits of drafting Myles Garrett, of drafting Baker Mayfield, he got Baker Mayfield. And this was the beginning of the next step for the Browns. Honestly, and I think he could have been fired after 1-31, right? If he had been fired then, he would have a much stronger case. I never got to show what I could do. He got fired at 2-5-1 the next season because they decided this is not the guy to lead the Browns out of the wilderness. This is not the guy to mentor the number one pick quarterback in the draft. We need to move on. He wasn't fired for 1-31. He got the next step, and he didn't take advantage of it. So I don't know what point he's making.
All right, and one more, and then we'll move on from Hue Jackson. So on John Dorsey, he says the Browns got better when they brought in real football players once John Dorsey became the GM, and the real football players was John Dorsey's term. And so again, we have lost our contact with Doug, so we'll try to get him back. But the interesting thing is, John Dorsey was the one that ultimately fired Hue, and as Doug pointed out, 2-5-1 because they didn't feel like he was developing the young players that the front office gave him. So, Doug, the thing that we just were talking about, John Dorsey bringing in the real football players, the point you made is John Dorsey didn't see him coaching his real football players is the issue.
Yeah, I think I caught part of it. He wasn't the guy for the next step. And I do think over time, there have been some coaches who have been frustrated by the fact that they're brought in for the tank and they're not allowed to see it through. Brett Brown with the Philadelphia 76ers, when they went through the process, he was brought in for the tank, but then they did let him see it through for a while until after another several years, he proved he wasn't the guy. I think that was out there for Hue, potentially, right? If they had shown a little more in that first year with Baker Mayfield in 2018, I think there's a world where Hue Jackson is the coach right now, that he did not have to be defined only by 1-31 because he did get the beginning of that next year. And I think Hue couldn't let go of 1-31. And I think Hue felt more blamed for what was going on than he actually was blamed. Because I think anybody with the brain knew what was happening. They knew it. And so, Hugh, we weren't saying that you were doing a terrible job because of the record. It's because there was no cohesiveness within the franchise. It's because the general manager and the head coach were butting heads over things. It's because he was seemingly never able to accept what the Browns were doing. And the thing he's saying now is the stuff he was saying back then. That he feels like he was lied to about what they were going to do. And once it became apparent, he could never get with the program. And the other thing is, the other guy got fired first. And I thought that was a mistake when it happened. But nobody survived. Neither Sashi Brown nor Hue Jackson survived. But the Browns survived, and the Browns were better for it. And listen, Sashi Brown's not out there writing a book. People get fired in this business. The idea that, like Hue Jackson, it's the most egregious thing that's ever happened in the NFL, that Hue Jackson had to deal with this. It's victim mentality, man. He got his money. Go on with the rest of your life. It was tough. I get it. But I absolutely will stick to the idea that he had an opportunity after 1-31 to show that he could be the guy, and he wouldn't seize it because he was living in the past. And now he's trying to get all of us to live in the past with him.
All right, let's turn our attention to something a little more fun, something that I know you'll be a little bit more passionate about. Browns are being talked about as Super Bowl contenders nationally. I think you might have been the first guy to kind of issue that a little bit earlier when we were talking a couple weeks ago. What do you take of that? How exciting is it to see the national people kind of starting to recognize the good things that are going on with the Browns and that roster?
I do just think they're a little slow to it. I think everybody fell in love with the Bills. And I think the Bills have taken a little bit of the Browns juice the last year or two. And so, I'm not anti-Bills, but people sure fell in love with Josh Allen pretty quick. And the Browns are on the same path. Like they are parallel paths. And the Browns gave the Chiefs a better game than the Bills gave the Chiefs in the playoffs last year. So the Bills got one round further. Okay, the Browns played the Chiefs tougher. So whatever you think of the Bills, you should think of the Browns. They have a smart head coach. They have a young quarterback. They have a defense. The Browns have better playmakers on offense and a better offensive line. Bills have a better defense. But I just feel like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because Josh Allen's tall. But people fell in love with Buffalo when I think the Browns would make a very strong case right now. I think the Browns would make a very strong case right now as the second best team in the AFC.
All right, before I let you go, last Browns question I'll ask you. Do you sign Jadeveon Clowney if you are the Browns?
For the right price, but only for the right price. I don't think they have to. And listen, I think a lot of times when people talk about Jadeveon Clowney, it's like they're talking about like $12 million a year or like all-pro Jadeveon Clowney. And I don't think that's what we're talking about anymore. If we're talking about like veteran, $6 million, see if it works. If it doesn't, it's okay. If it does work, great, then I'm okay with that. But we can't ever talk about stuff in a vacuum. It's all about how he fits, what the price is, what else they do around it. For the right price, and because it's not do or die if it doesn't work out, I would entertain it. But I would not go out of my way. If he's saying, I need X, and you're not comfortable with that salary, then pass.
Doug Lesmerises, columnist here on cleveland.com, as well as in the page of the Plain Dealer. We'll take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we're talking Indians. The road opener is Thursday. Home opener, week away. Sports4CLE will be right back. Doug and I will talk Indians baseball. Stay with us.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Labbe, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Hey there, Indians fan. Let's talk Tribe together. Join me at the Cleveland Indians home opener event on Monday, April 5th at noon. Hosted virtually, we'll share all sorts of insider baseball on opening day. See you there.
Let's welcome that guy in, Doug Lesmerises. I love it, Doug. Tell me a little bit more. What do you plan on doing the virtual home opener? What are some of the things that are going on? Tell me a little bit about the event.
So we're going to have some actual people who know more about the Indians than I do. We're going to have Joe Noga and Paul Hoynes, our main Indians beat writers, Terry Pluto, great columnist who writes about the Indians, plus me. And we're going to have a virtual event. We have had a long-standing Indians breakfast for the home opener that we've done. And obviously, we're still not in the world where we're doing stuff in person. So it's going to be in Zoom rooms, talking with Terry, talking with me, Joe, Paul, different things about the Indians, have some trivia questions, that kind of thing. We try to replicate the breakfast we usually have where we get together with Indians fans and do it online. Next Monday.
Sounds good. So the day of the home opener. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the Indians. We're here from Terry Francona. So the Indians starting rotation without question is very young. Anthony Castrovince of MLB.com ranks the Indians' 8th best starting rotation in baseball, right behind the White Sox. when you look at the starters, Bieber's 25, Plecek's 26, Savali's 25, Allen's 23, McKenzie's 23, Quantrill is 26. He's going to start the year in the bullpen. Terry Francona admits it's a young starting rotation, but listen to Terry Francona when he talks about it and what he likes about these starters.
There's no reason to not talk about it. I think if we don't anticipate that there'll be a hiccup along the way, we're probably not being realistic.
Yeah.
But we just met with the pitchers and went over the things that we went over with the position players yesterday, pitchers today. So when we meet in Detroit as a team, it can be a lot shorter. Just go over a lot of housekeeping things and things that are important to us. And we told the pitchers, we said, we know we're young, but when Plesac takes the mound, when Savali takes the mound, Logan Allen, we feel like we got a chance to win. And that's how we feel. Yeah, we are kind of young, but I don't think that means we back off of competing. And if we have a problem we need to fix, we'll do the best to fix it. But I think our pitching guys have really done a good job, and I think that'll continue.
Let's bring Doug Lesmerises back in. Doug, how comforting is it to have a guy like Terry Francona, who's been around, seen a lot, with such a young pitching staff? All right, we lost it. So the point is, if Terry Francona feels pretty comfortable with these young guys, there's a pretty good indication that Terry Francona will find a way to get what the Indians need from this young pitching staff. Remember, Shane Bieber's 25, but he was also the Cy Young Award winner a season ago, so he leads that really young staff. It will also be, Doug, let's talk a little bit. How comforting is it that you got Terry Francona that's pulling the strings with those young guys and getting them ready?
Terry's good with the bullpen, right? And I think he knows how to work a staff. I think he has good communication with those guys. I think he's shown that over the years, that he manages a pitching staff well. I just keep thinking, you list off young pitchers like that, and I just think, can you trade one for a bat? That, they're down this road again. I mean, it's like you don't have to have 5 great young starters. Lots of teams have 3 good starters, and then they, maybe have a little more oomph in the lineup. So, that's the thing, that they are remarkable. They are remarkable. I'm not worried about the young starting pitchers. I'm worried about, everything else. And it's a place that this organization has been a lot in the last several years, where their pitching is so good. And, at some point, I just think you have to use that pitching to get a corner outfielder with some pop. It's nothing new. But I wish they had outfielders lined up the way they've got starting pitchers lined up.
Yeah, and it seems like they have a little factory in the minor leagues where they just, here's a starting pitcher, he's ready to come up and pitch. Right? So I'm with you. I use that as an asset. I know pitching's important, but I just see a lot of games where you're not going to score more than 3 runs, and these guys are going to pitch pretty well and lose 5-3 or 4-2 or 3-1. The offense can be challenged again.
And we don't want to be dismissive of the Indians' success of the last several years, which was reliant on that pitching. But I haven't looked up the stats this year, but I did. It's the same stats I looked up the last several years, where they're just playing more games where they're only scoring 2 or 3 runs than other teams are. And they're trying to win in a very difficult way to win. And the fear is that the young starting pitching does come through and you lose a bunch of 3-2 games again. Which they've been down that road a little bit before. And I'm sure other organizations are envious of this. And listen, I covered baseball other places 25 years ago. When you have no pitching, you really know it. When it's like time for your 3rd starter and you're looking around wondering if you have a guy who can even make it through 5 innings, that can tear your franchise apart. It puts such pressure on everything. Your lineup feels like, well, if we don't score 7 today, we're going to lose. So I get that. But they've just leaned so far toward pitching. I believe they'll be okay there. But will they hit enough to take advantage of it?
Yeah, I agree. And they need 2 young guys or 3 young guys to come through, not just 1. 2 or 3 guys that are getting their first opportunity to come through on the offensive side of things. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Sports4CLE. We appreciate Doug Lesmerises' time, Dan Labbe's time. Remember, you can get a hold of us, sports4cle@gmail.com. You can also call the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. Sports4CLE, we will see you again Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Mary Kay Cabot scheduled to join us. Have a great Monday. We'll see you again tomorrow afternoon.